I'm finally sharing this Canson XL black drawing paper. Hi, I'm Irene. Welcome to the Inkworks studio. Today is Gouache Day. I was talking out loud about wanting to play with gouache again, and producer Mike suggested using the black paper he'd gotten for me a year ago that I hadn't yet used. Hey, a good idea is a good idea. So here we are. Using a Derwent drawing pencil, I quickly sketched my design. And when I say my design, I mean it. There was no reference image, just my imagination. I was a tad concerned that the color I chose might not show well enough on the black paper. Be aware that while I'm drawing or painting, my viewing angle is slanted, so I'm often surprised while reviewing the footage later, because the overhead POV makes everything look better. In other words, I needn't have worried. I wanted to practice painting trees, and while this is a pretty simplistic piece, it served to bolster my confidence. So hopefully the next time I can push further, try something more complex. Just like in the movie, What About Bob? It's all about baby steps. But at this point in the process, I was sketching, not painting. Some people say you don't need drawing skills to paint, and that might be true, but in my opinion, having good drawing skills will never hurt and will often help. From a very young age, I learned to draw from my older siblings. I watched them as they drew. Then I studied their sketchbooks and tried to recreate their drawings. I'm not a teacher, but I often include the sketching portion of these projects, in case anyone who isn't confident about drawing wants to observe that process. For gouache, I normally use paper intended for wet media, such as 140-pound watercolor or mixed media paper. So I had some reservations about painting on this relatively lightweight 92-pound drawing paper, but as you'll see for yourself, it worked just fine. Of course, it helped that there was no wash work involved here, so there was no real risk of severe buckling. I wanted to keep the colors limited, so I squeezed only permanent white, leek green, and bark brown gouache onto the mixing palette. Later, I added blue, black, and antique gold for a total of 5 colors. They are all artist-grade gouache from Holbein. Now, I did include the palette action, and you might wonder why. It was for a couple of reasons. 1, to show how I got my color mixes, and 2, to show that I dabbed in some water to get the consistency I wanted. The water jar was out of frame, though, so just imagine every time I move my hand northeast, I'm dipping the brush into water. Speaking of paint consistency, I kept my applications at the milk, cream, and not quite butter thicknesses. I didn't go anywhere near tea or coffee. I'm referring to the tea to butter method, where tea is very watery, coffee is less watery, milk is slightly thick, cream is thicker still, and butter is the thickest. That brush is a Princeton Umbria No. 2 Bright. The only other brush used on this piece was a Princeton Select No. 2 Round, which was limited to the borderline. So 90% of the brushwork was done with this Umbria Bright. That momentary blurring of the footage could be glitchy camera work, or it could be a visual metaphor for my state of mind. Yeah, I was daydreaming about chocolate. Can you blame me? Look at all of that brown, gooey goodness. I actually follow C's Candies' Instagram account, so I get a sweet eyeful every day. A recent post asked a thoughtful question. What C's products are you bringing to your summer pool parties? Well, I started to post an equally thoughtful reply, but then slammed on the brakes, thinking, why am I giving C's my best material? So here's the Inkworks exclusive. If I must attend a pool party on a hot summer day, I'll bring a 1-pound mix of tangy, tropical flavored C's truffles, lemon, key lime, and pineapple. It would be hidden under my swim cover-up, so I could sneak a piece here and there. You know, in between plates of overcooked drumsticks and undercooked corn cobs. That's right, I'd feel pretty smug about having something actually edible. No one would be the wiser until one of the dieters screams while pointing at the chocolate smears on my cover-up. She neither shares nor cares. And just like Bruce Banner at the end of every Incredible Hulk episode, I'd grab my bug-out bag and hitchhike to a new town where nobody knows my name. But C's Candies makes it all worth it. It does look rather dreary, even wintry at this point. But once the leaves start popping up, you'll get why this is a summery piece. It may seem like the land of no sunlight, where evil rules with icy dread. But take my word for it, the temperature is like 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Come to think of it, that's the Inkworks studio in a nutshell. Speaking of dread, the other night I was in the mood for some thrills and chills, so I watched an obscure, low-budget scary movie for free on Tubi, which meant I had to sit through a slew of ad breaks, which really took me out of the whole dread-inducing atmosphere. I mean, come on. What's frightening about Priceline, where your happy place meets your happy price? Wait, we all have a cheap hotel from hell story, don't we? Okay, that tracks. But Allstate is all good. Hold on. Have you ever had to deal with an insurance company? Insufficient coverage, contested claims, surreptitious surveillance, act of God exclusions. Man, you need to watch a horror movie to bring down your anxiety. Fine, but I'm telling you, Domino's is totally in the clear. Never mind. I just Googled Domino's horror. But I won't go down that rabbit hole, not even for channel content. The point is, the ads are more terrifying than the film. So I guess, good job, Tubi? It's coming up to mid-August, and I'm in full fall cravings mode. I admit it, I've been watching autumnal ambiance videos and rolling around on Pinterest, reveling in pumpkin spice this and sweater weather that. Then there are the comestibles, hot and creamy wild mushroom soup, curry chicken and craisin salad, moist apple cider cake, and autumn harvest sangria. Yeah, I'm addicted to Pinterest. Hey, there are worse vices. Another way I prepare for fall is to listen to audio mysteries. So I recently revisited several Agatha Christie dramatizations from BBC Radio. Specifically, Sad Cypress, The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and After the Funeral. Really well done productions and great to have on while arting in the studio. They've also whetted my appetite for more Only Murders in the Building. Season 4's first episode is supposedly dropping later this month, August 27th. I understand at least part of the story takes place in Hollywood. Look, I've enjoyed every season so far, and I'm sure number 4 will be a blast. But one of the reasons I love the show is the setting. That gorgeous old apartment building with its inner courtyard and secret passageways. I've actually fantasized about which unit I'd pick to live in. Not Mabel's. Her style is too modern for my tastes. So it's a toss-up between Oliver's richly traditional but with flair vibes and Charles's staid but eclectic contemporary digs. Either way, there's the added perk of occasional fresh corpses, which in turn opens the door to amateur sleuthing shenanigans. I was very pleased with the color mixes. I managed to get nice variations in both brown and green by incorporating blue-black for darkening and permanent white for lightening, but also by mixing leek green and bark brown together. Bringing in antique gold later on brought some refreshing brightness, I think. So, in preparation for eventually watching Deadpool and Wolverine, I finally streamed Logan. I'd put it off since I was told it would make me cry. But that was silly, because these days everything makes me cry. The top 10 dogs of the week videos make me cry. The Progressive Insurance You Are Not Your Parents ads make me cry. Discovering I am out of non-dairy coffee creamer makes me cry. So I went ahead and watched Logan. It was good. It wraps up Wolverine's story, but it was definitely dour. In fact, the amount of violence made it sort of a rough experience for me. So while I am glad I saw it, I probably won't watch it again. And yes, I did cry. The technique here was to lay down deliberately short strokes in a rapid, somewhat haphazard manner. I think that helped to make the piece appear less rigid and more organic. But the smartest move might have been layering several shades each of the brown and the green, giving a suggestion of depth. Those were the intentions, anyway. I do like the look of the black paper beneath the painting. I'm not accustomed to that sort of combination, so I can't really say I'm infatuated with it. But it's different, it's exciting, and I expect certain colors would appear quite dramatic on this paper. Fall leaves and pumpkins, perhaps. These 2 brushes were a good choice, I think. Small enough for the compact scale of the piece, but not too small, requiring hours to complete. This all took less than an hour, and it was an enjoyable exercise because it was undemanding. Sometimes applying pressure, setting challenges, or specifying parameters can be stimulating and helpful. But other times, I just want to be chill and see what happens. Here's where the antique gold was in play. Part of me likes the results, but another part thinks it's a bit too much, especially that one big leaf in the middle that's about twice the size of the others. Sure, I could have gone over it with a darker green, and it would be like it never happened. But here at Inkworks, we subscribe to the warts and all ethos. Speaking of subscribing, if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment. And if you've already done those things, thank you very much. Today's nail color is Eager from LA Color's Quick Color Nail Polish. This series is called Quick Color due to its fast-drying formula. But how fast is quick? I mean, I always manage to mess up at least one nail simply by accidentally brushing against my shirt. So, in my experience, it's never fast enough. And eager for what? Embarrassment? Because I guarantee that everyone knows what those telltale smooshes mean. They mean you couldn't wait for your nails to set before doing stuff, which doesn't make sense since I'm a die-hard procrastinator, willing to put anything off for a few years. But the moment my nails are covered with wet lacquer is the moment something needs to be done right now. It's what I refer to as the polish insistence syndrome. PISS for short. No, I need to come up with an alternate acronym. I'm going to show a brief tableau of most of the items used for today's painting. 5 tubes of Holbein artist gouache, 2 small Princeton brushes, and a ceramic mixing palette. I believe the only thing not shown here is the Canson XL black drawing paper. Although I often use a large ceramic plate, this smaller flower-shaped dish with 7 wells is very handy. So much so, I actually have 2 of them. Whenever possible, I include links to the tools and supplies used down in the description box. Sometimes they will be affiliate links, meaning if you make a purchase, I may receive a small commission at no extra cost to you. Sometimes they will be non-affiliated links, because even if I can't find a listing for an item, I still want to help you find what you're looking for. Thanks for watching and staying until the end. I get it. You've got things to do, like applying fresh nail polish. So I appreciate you hanging around here. Until next time, beware of PIS, because nothing dampens your day quite like destroying freshly painted nails because the dishes were urgently calling your name. Those darn dirty dishes. And stay artsy, my friends.